This is a cold start on a 2018 Audi R8 V10 Plus with stock exhaust. Almost forgot you guys. So I've had the R8 for 4 days now, and while I'm still trying to get used to all these different views and all the different features here on the screen, I absolutely love the car. One thing that is really cool is while the car is warming up, it has a rev limiter, so it puts the red line up at about 6,000 RPMs to protect the engine, and then once the car is fully warmed up, the red line goes to, I believe, 8,700 RPMs, and that way it just protects it from when it's not warmed up. So we are gonna head to the gas station. We're gonna fill up with some gas. I've already had to fill up once, and we're down to 55 miles till empty. So we're gonna go fill up, and then we're gonna tell you where we're going. Just finished up here at the gas station. It cost us $51 to fill up. I was not quite empty, but I was close. And we are now sitting at 290 miles till empty. So not bad, but I'm gonna be here a lot more often. We are actually headed up to Lux Automotive in Salt Lake City. This car is absolutely perfect in almost every way. Has 10,000 miles on it. So the previous owner hardly ever used it, but there is one major flaw that I knew about when I bought it, and Lux is gonna help me fix it. So we're gonna talk about that once we get up there. Now that we have a supercar, we can park up front with the big boys. So this lighting looks really good. I know the car looks white, but it is Suzuka gray. And we got the McLaren 12C, and then we got the Huracan. So as I was saying, I bought this car sight unseen. I had seen some videos and some photos, and it was absolutely perfect except for one thing. And I'm gonna point that out here. If you'll notice, this panel here and this panel here, they do not match in color. This one's a little bit more yellowish or cream, and same thing with the whole front end and this side over here. So it's not terrible, but it does bother me, and we're gonna point out in a little bit why that doesn't match and how Lux is gonna fix it.
What's up, man?
Say hi to everybody.
How we doing? Dude, congrats on the new car.
Thank you, man.
This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Now we just got to give her the Lux touch, huh?
Yep, so this thing is getting dropped off today. It's gonna get the Lux makeover.
Yeah.
Gonna look totally different when you see it next.
She needs a little bit of love, but overall she's, you know, she should be nice and clean. So, as you can see, I mean, you've talked about it a little bit, but this yellow and clear has gotta go.
Yes, so I pointed out the color difference, the first major flaw we found in the car.
Right, so unfortunately, I mean, just older film, right? I mean, actually not even older film, the film's only 2 years old, but this is why it's so important to A, vet the installer that you're taking your car to, and B, vet the film that they're actually using and making sure it's a reputable film. As you know, the Expel film we use, not only do we use their 10 mil film, but actually carries a 10-year warranty against any kind of yellowing, delambing, anything like that. And you won't see this kind of issue with a quality film. So unfortunately, likely this is a dealer installed option, and dealers usually just go for the cheapest, and that's kind of what you got here. I mean, you can kind of see, you know, the yellowing film is just one bad part of this, but what's really going to be interesting as we pull this stuff off is going to be the trim marks that they did, because actually all this film is bulked, and you can see just the gnarly trims right here, super inconsistent as they trimmed around the badge. With our installs, we actually remove the badge. It just leads for a cleaner install, and they'll actually put laser cut double-sided adhesive to put the factory badge back on. So I mean, not only do you have all these cuts, but none of the inside of your Audi rings is actually protected.
Yeah, so all my paint here is exposed. Right. Any good shop that knows how to wrap, like Lux, they will take your emblem off but instead, the shop that did this, I'm hoping they didn't cut into the paint with their knife.
And that's what my next thing was. Is that's the next issue. Is obviously this guy, whoever the installer was, probably wasn't the most vetted guy. You know, not the best installer. We'll show you kind of some of these other defects and issues with the paint protection film. But that's really what you come into play with. Is you could potentially have a lot of damage by cut marks and damage from just an installer not knowing what he's doing. Just look at some of the trim lines on this.
So I don't know if the camera's picking this up very well, but all these jagged lines that you're seeing is the paint protection film. And I mean, look how bad that is. They don't even go around the edges, so it leaves, you know, some spots of your paint exposed that can then be damaged by rock chips.
And then of course you have around these vents, again, back to these super just inconsistent lines, jagged edges.
Look, it's not even a straight line, it's like...
Yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies. And unfortunately, they didn't even go to the point where they even covered your black grills. One of the most expensive parts of this car, which is the carbon fiber, isn't covered either. The cheapest man bidding on the job gets the job, and that's all they care about is getting paid and getting out. So back to your mirrors too. I mean, especially if you're not going to cover this backside, just to do this front face is not a difficult piece, and this piece is actually done in two pieces. And if you can see here, there's probably about 1/8 of an inch gap between the film that isn't even protected. Again, this carbon fiber mirror cap. So.
And you had another car recently. There was a C8 Corvette, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they had done something similar on the mirror where they just covered a portion of the mirror.
Yeah, they just covered the front leading edge, and then.
And what happened?
On both mirrors, one had a rock chip here and one had a rock chip here where the coverage wasn't. We really invest in our people, you know, and we invest in our product too. You know, I could probably get a product like this for 1/3 to maybe even 1/4 of what we're paying for our Expel 10 mil, but 2 years later, you know, you can see just how much difference it is. It's not gonna have to be replaced. You know, this is probably gonna be more of like a 6, maybe a 7 mil film. We use a 10 mil film, and again, that 10-year warranty that Expel really stands behind and backs.
And then lastly, I want to point out this fender here. For some reason, this side, and I don't know how well it's picking up on the camera, but this piece right here looks super yellow.
Yeah, we're gonna call this thing Old Yeller until we get this stuff off. But I mean, back to kind of inconsistencies, right? So like when we're gonna go back and do this in the Expel Stealth, we're gonna go all the way to the edge, but you can see where they only covered about half of it.
And it leaves the other half to get a bunch of rock chips that are gonna get kicked up.
With good film and a good installer, it should not look like this. We'll get it looking good, man. It's gonna be awesome. We cannot wait to see it going down in Stealth.
I'm super excited. As you all know, Lux wrapped my Raptor, my wife's Tesla Model Y, and now the R8 is gonna join the Expel Stealth family.
There you go.
The whole car is gonna be protected. Don't have to worry about rock chips, about scratches, about dings, anything like that. Makes maintenance and cleaning the car a lot easier.
Yeah, we'll do a ceramic coating over the top of it like we have done on the other cars with our Modesta ceramic coating, and we got a few other little touches, little surprises for you too on this thing. So it'll be a fun project for sure.
Started up front, we showed you a bad PPF job. Now we're coming out here and back with a lot of cars in the shop. We're gonna point out some of the things that Lux does differently and why it's so much better than those bad jobs that you saw up front.
Definitely, I mean, especially, so this car is a factory satin paint, which on factory satin paints, you're not having you have to do a full coverage like with a gloss paint, right?
Yeah.
So you're not gonna have any of those gloss edges. This car was actually another redo, had a full body wrap, and it was just dingy, dirty, horrible, so we had to go through, rip it all apart. Factory satin paint to factory gloss paint going to satin. Again, we use all of our Expel Stealth, and it just makes such a difference, such a difference.
This color's so bright, it doesn't even pick it up on the camera.
It is, but you know what's cool about the Stealth is it gives it this, it almost kind of like tones it down a little bit and gives it this really cool, unique, again, with the body lines, right? You lose all these body lines and these cool little details when it's gloss because the gloss just kind of blows it out. And not saying that you need to stealth everything, right? We saw a lot of cars up there that you know, that are gloss as well. But it's just all in what you're into. It gives it just a different option to give it a different look.
Yeah, and you can see here they've taken off a lot of the pieces. You know, a lot of the shops that do it cheaper, it doesn't involve as much labor. They don't remove a lot of the parts of the car, and that's why you get those edges that they just cut around.
Right.
So here, you take off the headlights, you take off the handles, and you can see that they've wrapped all the way around the edges, and so there's nothing exposed, there's no knife marks. So, pretty sweet.
I mean, and to, you know, the guys that really crank, like our guys in our shop and other installers, this is a craft. I mean, you're trying to wrap a 10 mil. I mean, take a look at this edge right here. You're trying to wrap 10 mils of film around this edge,
and it's flawless. You can't even see where the film ends and the paint starts again, which is crazy.
I think this is now our 8th full body RS6. He chose this one as obviously Nardo Gray, and he chose to go in stealth. And again, whether stealth is something you like or not, you can't deny the unbelievable, any car with hard body lines, just how it makes it look, because you just don't see this stuff on a gloss car. And it is just so aggressive.
And I'd like to point out the handles. Let's see how good the handles are on this thing.
Yeah, so back to it, all the handles come off and they're wrapped all the way around. We kind of talked about it on your car, right? But it is important to leave accents on your car, because if you just wrapped it one entire color, it would just look like a big blob. So this has the black optics package and all the carbon. So we kept that in gloss, and it just brings out the car, it gives a little dimension.
Yeah, and the gloss grille on the front looks awesome in contrast with the satin, which is pretty sweet. That's gonna do it for today's video. We're leaving the car here with Lux Automotive. They're gonna do a full transformation on the car, so next time you see it, it's gonna be completely different. It's gonna look so much better. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.